Hey everybody, welcome to my screencast about CartoDB and SQL. If you don't have a CartoDB account, um, sign up first, then come back to this. If you do, let's go ahead and sign in. Once you're signed in, you'll be presented with this screen or something like it, where it shows you how many tables you've created and how many megabytes or how much space you've used in the allotted 5 megabytes that you're given. Um, in this case, I've already created my table, so my screen looks a little different than yours. You may have the Create New Table button somewhere around here. In any case, go ahead and click that button. We want to upload our data into the database. So we select a file. In this case, it's the fall 2012 CSV file that I attached in the Piazza post. Choose that file and let CartoDB do its thing. It may take a few seconds. I'm not going to wait because it does take time. I actually have one created. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that table up. And so when you open the table up, you'll be presented with this screen. This is the main interface for CartoDB when you're in a table view. You have your table name up here. In this case, it's fall 2012. And then you have your table data down here that looks very much like Excel or Refine. It's very much spreadsheet-like, which is good. We're familiar with that. So you also notice that there's this CartoDB ID column here, which is something CartoDB adds by default. You can ignore that. Likewise with the geom column, we're not going to use that today. That's more for mapping, mapping out points or polygons. We're not doing any of that today. One of the first things you do want to do with your data is you want to navigate to the high price, low price, and pounds columns, and you want to change them from string to number. In this case, I've already gone ahead and done that, but yours would probably say something like string, and you just want to change that to number, and then you'll know it worked because you'll see the number turn green actually. So if your numbers are green or if your values are green, perfect, you're all set. So let's get into some SQL querying. The first thing we do is open the SQL tray over to the right. That's over here. And you'll see this default query that you're presented with where it says select, and there's an asterisk, and there's a from, and then there's the name of the table. This is a very typical SQL query. It's probably the most used. And in fact, this is exactly what this query is basically executed the minute we load this page. Running this query won't do anything to your table. It'll just return the exact results that you see already. So we want to actually specify something here. We want to say, for example, maybe we just want to look at the apples and not everything. And we don't want to look at bananas or pears. We just want to see apples. And we can do that by using this where clause. And the where clause tells the database where and what to look for. So a typical where clause may look something like where you have a column name here and equals a value. Okay, now this isn't the actual query, this is just an example of how this might look. What we're going to do is actually fill in this query. Our column name, if we look here, we're looking for where apples or the variety or the type of commodity is listed. That's in the commodity column. So we're going to say look where the column name, or the column value rather, equals, and in this case we're just looking for apples. And we got to put these in single quotes because it is a string, and we got to tell the database that it is a string, and it's also case sensitive, so we got to make sure it's all caps. So recap, we're selecting everything from fall 2012 where commodity equals apples. And you may also, I should point out that this asterisk is also probably familiar to you guys from your regular expressions where we use that as a wildcard. In this case, it's sort of the same thing, right? We're saying select everything. We're not being specific, we're not naming certain columns, we're not naming certain values, we're just saying select everything from this table where commodity is apple. So we apply that query, and bam, we get the results. So this is just pulling in all the apples, all the instances of apples in this table. There's not going to be any oranges, no pears, no grapefruits, just apples. So that's helpful, right? We just want to see apples. We don't want to be distracted by other commodities. But maybe we want to be a little more specific within apples. Maybe we actually want to just pull in a certain variety of apple. And we can do that by using this AND clause. And the AND clause, what that allows us to do is add more arguments to a SQL query. In this case, we want to say where the variety column equals Gala. So we just want to pull in Gala apples from fall 2012. Let's see what that does. Okay, so I think that worked. We shouldn't see any Red Delicious or Golden Delicious or Fuji. We should only get Gala, and that's what we got. So that's great. So what if we want to look for something else? Maybe we just want to look for Gala apples where the pounds are 40, right? And we don't need quotes here because pounds is actually integer, so we don't have to worry about saying we don't have to say anything else besides just the number. Okay, so we apply that query, and so everything here should just be 40. We shouldn't see anything else besides Gala apples that are 40 pounds. Maybe we want to do something where we just want to pull in everything that's less than 40 pounds. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we don't get anything less than anything more than 40 pounds, or we can do less than or equal to, I believe. Let's see what that does. So here we should get everything 40 pounds and under. Let's see if that worked. Yep, looks like that worked. So here, what we're saying, let's sort of dissect this query real quick. Select all from our table, fall 2012, where the commodity equals apples and the variety equals Gala and the pounds is less than or equal to 40. So what if we change that to greater than? Let's see if Gala apples ever comes in packages greater than 40 pounds. No results for this. So that way we know, okay, that doesn't exist. There are no Gala apples in packages of 40 or in packages over 40 pounds. Okay, so we're still pulling in everything, right? We still are selecting every column in our database, and we don't want to necessarily do that. It can be very processor heavy. It could also just pull in unnecessary data. It can make it harder to read. So we can specify in our query which columns to return to us. So let's trim this a little bit. Let's just keep it at that. And let's say we just want to select commodity, variety, and pounds, high price, low price, and origin from our table where commodity equals apples. And let's just keep it at that. Let's get rid of this Gala. So we're saying select these columns, these column names from our table where the commodity equals apples. And let's see what happens. Okay, so what you should see now is we're just getting those columns that we specified returned to us. We're not getting any of the grade or the environment or the shipping or the type. We're just getting commodity, variety, pounds, high price, low price, origin. So it's a little easier to read. We can sort of see what we want to see with this. So let's do something with this. Let's do something with these columns that we return. Let's, for example, try to figure out the price per pound, which is something we did in class with Refine. So to do that, let's trim this a little bit. We'll take those out. And we actually say, we know that to find the price per pound, we divide the high price by the pounds, or the low price by the pounds. So we actually do that right in the query, high price column divided by pounds column. And we're going to put this as clause, and I'll explain what that is in a second. We'll call this high price, and then we're going to say the low price, do the same thing for the low price. Low price divided by pounds, as low price. And then origin from fall 2012 where commodity equals apples. So let's apply that and see what happens. Okay. So what we're getting now is under high price, we're getting the high price per pound. Under low price, we're getting the low price per pound for each commodity. And so what we did with this as clause is we just named this temporary placeholder for the value of the data, for the calculated value of the data. I say temporary because it doesn't really exist. That might be a little too confusing, so let's just say it's a temporary placeholder, and we're just renaming the column. Without that, if we run it without that as statement, you'll get, it won't throw an error, but you'll get this weird question mark. Doesn't know what the column, it kind of breaks on this high price column. It'll do the math for you, but it doesn't know what to name it. So we just need that there to say, hey, look, this is the value, this is the column I want you to put this value in. Okay, so this is pretty powerful stuff. It just does the math for you, in the query, which is pretty cool. Okay, but the next thing we want to do, which we also did in Refine, and which a lot of you guys did for your stories, which I actually did for the interactive I ran with the New York World, was I wanted to find the average high price of a commodity by their variety. And that's something we can also do in the query itself. Just like in Refine and just like in Excel, there are these functions that are native to SQL and PostgreSQL in this case. And this function we're going to use is this average function. And it's written just like the functions that you're used to writing. You name the function, then an open parenthesis, and a closed parenthesis, and then within those parentheses goes the argument that you want to throw it. In this case, we're saying the average high price per pound, and we'll do the same thing with low price. We're saying, give me the average low price per pound. And we can keep these names here, but for clarity, I'm just going to rename them average low price and average high price columns. And let's run that and see what happens. So we get this error here. And this error tells me that if you're going to use an aggregate function, which this average function is what SQL calls an aggregate function, in that it aggregates the value. It takes all the value of one variety or commodity, and it combines it all. So you have to tell it to group by that variety or commodity. In this case, we're going to do both, and that should work. What am I doing here? Variety. Forgot the group by. There we go. I must be pulling in origin still. Okay, let's get rid of origin. Sorry, guys. That should work. Okay, there we go. So now our result. Close this. Shows us the average price per pound for each variety. So without that group by, we would have gotten this Granny Smith, this Paula Red, this Cameo repeated twice with the same value. So it just aggregates on that commodity and gives us the average for that variety. So there you go. You have your average price per pound. This is very easy now to compare high price, low price with their commodity and with their variety. So those are some basic SQL querying that I use, that I certainly use for this data set when I built the New York World food map. There are many other things you can do with SQL. There are many things you can do with CARTODB and SQL. And if you have any questions, we can go over it in the next class period. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and look forward to seeing your final projects tonight. Okay.